Hi friends, it's Diane Thompson. Today I'm going to show you how to make your own probiotics in less than 10 minutes. How cool is that? And you're going to be able to save lots of money, and it's a whole lot easier than you might think. So if you're a replay viewer, would you type in replay in the comments section so I can thank you for watching this broadcast? The first time I made sauerkraut, I was a little nervous, I have to admit. I had a lot of fear actually, because I was worried about bacteria, right? Because bacteria have such bad, everyone thinks bacteria are so bad, they make you sick, and they could even kill you, right? Because you hear about horror stories. So today I'm going to put all of that to rest, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to make and how you can save lots of money. So how cool is that going to be? So I am Diane Thompson. I'm a registered dietitian and a holistic nutritionist, and I help busy women reach and maintain their healthy weight so they can live a full, healthy life and a life of possibilities. So I've been talking a lot about probiotics lately, and how important they are, but we're now learning that you don't just want to take any probiotics. In fact, the ones that you get, with even 100 strains, because there are a few that have 100 strains, are still going to cause an imbalance of bacteria in your gut, and that's not good. So by making your own, you're not going to have that problem, and you don't have to eat a whole lot of it. That's what surprises a lot of people. Like my clients, I'll tell them just a tablespoon a day is really all you need. So I'm going to take you through a step-by-step process and show you how you can do it in 10 minutes or less. And we're going to make about a quart of probiotics, or I call them probiotics, but it's sauerkraut that has probiotics in them. So let's talk a little bit about the value of this method of preservation, because it is a method of preserving food. People used it way before they ever had refrigeration. So they weren't afraid of it, so you don't have to be afraid of it either. So it is a great way to preserve your food, and I've done it with pickles, I've done it with cabbage, and even a medley of different vegetables. But start small, okay? Because if you start too big, too quick, you might feel overwhelmed and then not want to do it again. So I don't want that to happen to you. I have to tell you, I jumped in and did a really big batch, but it came out great. But it was a ton of work, made a mess in my kitchen. And anyways, I have I'll show you some of my probiotics in my refrigerator. And we're almost finishing up our batch from the fall. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's all done. And it's really quite tasty. It's sour, but that's really good. And I only eat about a tablespoon in the morning with our breakfast. So here's how you start. So you want to get, and the recipe and it's not really a recipe, you don't have to worry about measurement necessarily, but I got 3 pounds of cabbage. Okay, and this is 1.5 pounds. So what you want to do is you want to take off this first leaf right here. You take that off, and you're going to use it later. Okay, so don't throw it away. And then you want to wash. Okay, you always want to be clean. You know that. And then what I do is I cut it in quarters. And these are small heads, but so I've got it. Whoops, you can tell I'm going to make a mess here. But so this is about a quarter, and then you take out the core. So there you go. Take out that core, and then all that you do is you cut this in 8s. Okay, on the length. So you cut it in 8s, and this is what you end up with. This is what it looks like. Okay, I hope you can see this really well. Hi, Deborah. So this is what it looks like. And then you add to the 3 pounds, and this is only half of it, you add a tablespoon and a half of salt, okay? And let's talk about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and tell you a little bit about the salt. So this is, like I said, half, so I'm gonna use about 3/4 of a tablespoon. And then put that in there. And then I love to do it this way. Some people just use their hands, but I have this, and it's just, you just squish it. And you do this for about 5 minutes or maybe a little bit more. You'll know when it's ready because it'll start getting juicy and you'll get a lot of liquid in the bottom. So I'm gonna talk to you while I'm doing this. This is a great workout. Let's do some working out while we're doing our sauerkraut. So the salt business, I'm gonna move this a little bit here. The salt that you wanna use is, you don't wanna use iodized salt, okay? Because iodized salt really isn't that great for you. The iodine in it, number one, is not a form that's really absorbable by you, by me. So you want to use a sea salt, a good sea salt, Himalayan sea salt, but one that doesn't have iodine added, but comes right from the sea. And there's lots of great ones out there. Gray salt is one of my favorites. So you want to use something like that, not iodized salt. So usually this process takes about 5 to 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, hi Lisa, if you have any questions, would you type them in and maybe I can answer some questions while I'm pounding my cabbage here. This really could be a workout. So imagine, because when I did my sauerkraut at the end of the season last year, I think I did over 20 pounds. So I had a lot of cabbage, right? And I got it from a farmer, so it was really freshly picked. And that's how I prefer to do it, because freshly picked is the best, right? You're gonna have the most nutrition because you get the most nutrition at the peak of when it's ripe. So always start with that if you can, but this time of year, right, you can't because it's not time for cabbage to be ripe yet. It hasn't even been planted. I just bought my broccoli plants today. So I know cabbage isn't ready, right? And in Washington State, especially not. So maybe other parts of the country, I don't know, because I don't garden there. But so you keep doing this, and it's starting. I don't think you'll be able to see it on the video here very well. So has anybody else ever made their own? Hi, Alex. Has anybody else ever made their own sauerkraut? Love to hear if you did. So anyway, you just keep doing this. And then when you start to see water and it'll accumulate at the bottom, you'll see it. And then you just put it, it's not ready yet. So I'm not sure I'm gonna keep pounding it while I'm talking to you. But once it's done, then you put it into a clean mason jar. And then what I do, I want to go back. If you like caraway, if you like that flavor, you can add a tablespoon of caraway to this mixture. And I love caraway, so that gives it another flavor, another dimension. So once you're done with all that, you put it in a jar like this, and this leaf that I told you to keep, you put it on the top of, I wish it was done, but it's not done. So you can visualize what this looks like. So you put that on the top, and I also sometimes put a weight, some kind of weight in here to keep it down. And then all you do is you use a cloth and a rubber band, which I thought I had right here, but it's gone. I know I had one. It's not here. So anyway, you put a rubber band and then you let it sit for 3 days. You don't want it to be in a really hot spot. So 55 to 75 degrees is about the temperature. So, that, you know, in my kitchen right now, it's probably about 73. So, and then you check it. It should be done in about 3 to 10 days. You know, and with this amount, it's going to take about 3 days is all. And how do you know? And this was a piece that I was always nervous about was, should I open it? Am I going to ruin it? And things like that. You won't. Okay. So just go in there and taste it and you will know when it's ready. Okay. If it's not quite sour yet, it's not ready. So close it up and wait another day and test it yet again until it gets to the flavor that you really like. Okay. So, and, you know, it really, well, I suppose it could get overdone, but here's something else to think about, because sometimes you might see a little bit of mold, which once again, freak out, right? Who wants mold on their food? Well, mold isn't bad, okay? Not all the time. Most of the time it's not, especially when you're doing it in this, you know, in this way. The mold that you get from doing this preservation is not going to be harmful to you. So remember that and don't be worried about it. Just remove it. Now, if you test it and it tastes funky, just throw it away. Okay, it's really inexpensive to make this. So I bought this cabbage. I bought 3 pounds of cabbage today, and it was $1.29 per pound. So that's what, $3.90, right? $3.90, and it's going to make almost 2 quarts of sauerkraut. So you do the math. A tablespoon for me, my husband. To go through a quart, it's going to take us, you know, a week. I think I can't do the math. Someone can do the math, that would be great. So it's a lot less expensive than buying probiotics. It's a lot more tasty, and it's going to have a good spectrum of bacteria, which is what you're looking for with probiotics, not like what we're getting in most probiotics. Okay, so you get an overgrowth of those probiotic bacteria, which we now know isn't good for you. So hope that helps. I want to give you some, this is really helpful too. Now, when I do my big batch, this is one of the tools that comes in really handy here. It's called the Heavy Duty Slaw Board and Cabbage Shredder. So it does a beautiful job, and I don't know if you can see that picture really well, but it does a beautiful job of shredding that cabbage. So it's nice and, you know, equal pieces. So you get a really uniform mixture and quality of products. So that's really good. And then also, I use a really big crock. And my favorite one, because I have 2 of them, is called Gartoff. Gartopf. Funky Crot. Yeah, Funky Crot. Alex. So that's you know, and that's after you decide that you want to do big batches of it, which, you know, some people might not. They might just be happy doing a little bit at a time. But if you're like me and you want to take advantage of the fresh produce that, you know, happens, and let's see, I did mine last year, I think around November, early November. So if you want to take advantage of the great produce that time of year, you might want to make a really big batch. And there's all kinds of different sizes. I mean, there are some that are massive. I can't even carry them. That's how big, because they're made out of, they're German, and they're made out of this beautiful pottery, and they're all handmade. So they're quite beautiful and exquisite. And, but they are really spendy. I'll tell you that. And if you drop them, they're going to break. So, and they're really hard to move around. So you want to make sure you get one with some great handles, because I have one that the handles are not great, and I'm worried that someday it's going to be really hard to move, because you do end up having to move it. So, so let's see. And that's water fermentation. So it seals the top of the crock with water. So it's getting a little more fancy, but it's easy. Anybody can do it. Trust me. You know, I'm always doubtful when I go to open up my crock, because they give you pretty good instructions. So when to, when to open it and that kind of stuff. And I've been really successful with it. So if I can do it, you can do it. So, all right. Now, if you would like I have a sheet. I call it my Heal Your Gut cheat sheet. I have some brands because not everybody's going to do this, right? I realize that, but it's nice to know that you can, because if you like to do these kinds of things, you're going to get a lot more nutrition making it yourself, to be honest with you. But if you just are adamant about it and don't want to, there's several brands. I know of 7 of them, and they're on my cheat sheet. So you can go buy it. It's going to be a whole lot more expensive than making it yourself. So just put cheat sheet in the comments section. So I hope this has been really helpful. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. No, I think I've told you everything. So hope you have a great weekend. And if you decide to do this sometime, I would love to know what your experience was. So have a great weekend, guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.